lots to talk about today because for the third time now, former President Donald Trump has been indicted. This time, it's for charges related to January 6th and his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Now, the indictment accuses Trump of 4 felonies. So let's break it down. Conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, the certification of the Electoral College vote, obstruction of an official proceeding, and conspiracy to deprive people of a civil right, the right to have their votes counted. Now, special counsel Jack Smith announced the indictment yesterday. Take a listen.
The attack on our nation's capital on January 6th, 2021 was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy. As described in the indictment, it was fueled by lies. Lies by the defendant targeted at obstructing a bedrock function of the U.S. government, the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying the results of the presidential election.
The indictment also described 6 co-conspirators. It did not name them specifically, and they have not yet been charged. But they are widely reported to include lawyers Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman, Sidney Powell, and 3 others. Former President Donald Trump has denied the allegations. For more on this, we are joined by veteran trial attorney Mark Eiglarsh. Mark, we miss you, buddy. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
So grateful to be here again. Thank you.
Mark, let's jump right in here. What do you think of these 4 charges and the evidence that the indictment lays out against the former president?
Okay, so on one side, you've got an indictment. So what? A room full of people who don't get to hear Trump's defense or anybody's defense. And the old adage is a grand jury would indict a ham sandwich, you know? So they do the bidding for the prosecution. It doesn't mean that anything is true, and it doesn't mean that it can be proven at all. Now, that said, assuming they can prove this, I read that 45-page indictment to do my homework for your show, and I'm telling you, it is outrageous, it's offensive, and it clearly is criminal.
Wow.
I'm looking at the YouTube chat right now, and Damn She's Cute wrote, but, quote, quote, ... the First Amendment. Lots of folks are saying, actually, this indictment criminalizes the First Amendment for Trump's right to free speech. I want to know, what do you think about that?
I thought also, really, they're going to do him in for saying that this was a fraudulent election? There's wide latitude under the First Amendment to spew even outrageous and offensive speech and stuff that's not even factually accurate. But that is not what they're alleging. In fact, in the indictment, it says Trump has the First Amendment right to say that the election was fraudulent, even though he knows it is not. What they're claiming, though, is that there was fraudulent conduct. When you get fake electors to cast votes, or you do the Justice Department in by having them write fake target letters, or you get Vice President Pence to potentially feel the pressure of using these fraudulent ballots cast by fake electors, all of that is conduct. It's not speech alone.
So let's talk a little bit about intent versus impact, because there's another argument out there that Trump sincerely believed the election was stolen. So how do you prove he had the corrupt intent to defraud the American people?
They laid out in their indictment, and great question, Erica, they laid out each of the persons in his inner circle, the many people who told him, no, Donald, that's not true. No, that's not. We lost. But all the counterpoints. So I think they can prove it. But even if they don't, this indictment, the success of it, does not hinge upon their ability to prove that he knew that the election was fraudulent or not. It goes to the activity. Can they prove that the actions taken by him and these 6 co-conspirators were criminal? That will have to see a trial.
Well, you know, what struck me immediately as soon as I started reading this is that you see Donald Trump's name, but you don't see the 6 co-conspirators. Why do you think that they're not named in the indictment, and do you think that they'll be charged?
They probably won't be charged. Prosecutors make difficult calls all the time on whether they should indict or should not indict co-conspirators. My guess is they met with all of them, and these people had the choice of either being indicted or joining Team USA. And when they had to make that choice, it was very easy. Like many of my clients, they go, fine, I'll cooperate. And then you're going to see a lot of these folks, I think, testifying at trial.
Wow. And I have the indictment right here, Mark. I'm so glad you read it because it is alarming. Jack Smith is calling for a speedy trial and said he'd be ready in 70 days. One of the Trump's lawyers was asked about this on the Today Show. I want you to take a listen at what he had to say.
We're entitled to understand what the charges are. We're entitled to do our own investigation. The special counsel or the Justice Department, the Biden Justice Department, has had 3 years to investigate this. To take President Trump to trial in 90 days, of course, is absurd. The question is, why do they want to do that? If you want to seek justice, then you need to offer President Trump an opportunity to get a hold of all the evidence and understand what the facts are.
So what do you think, Mark? Do you think that we will see a trial happen before the election?
Absolutely likely not. Okay, so what he was saying is accurate. They have every right to full discovery and not to go to trial unless they've seen everything and that they're prepared. That is not happening anytime soon, especially because he's got, a couple other trials to deal with. But additionally, the government saying we're ready, we'll have a speedy trial is the government's way of saying that if they want a speedy trial, we'll go, unless they want to waive their right to a speedy trial, which 98, 99% of federal defendants and even state court defendants do, just because they need more time to prepare.
All right, you have 30 seconds here. Trump is now facing a total of 78 criminal counts against him. If he's found guilty, right here in our chat, Maxwell says, Banks says he's not going to see jail. Do you think he will? Because I do.
I do. I think he will. Tori, you and I, great minds think alike. I think if he's hit on any of these very serious charges, I think a federal judge would have to give him jail time. To do so would be really a miscarriage of justice because anybody else who did these serious offenses would get jail time. Plus, the federal guidelines would call for it.
Right.
So I think he'll get time.
Yeah. Wow. Mark, thank you so much.